What if you could win 80% of the college football spread plays that you put in each and every week? Wouldn't that transition the whole outlook of how you look at college football? Rather than guessing and trying to figure out exactly which teams are going to win or which teams are going to cover the spread, what if you already knew? Well, that's the strategy that I'm going to teach you in this video today. You're going to learn exactly how to find the best college football spreads and be able to manipulate them in a way that's going to make you win 80% of the time. So now, instead of guessing every week, you're going to be looking at a slate of games expecting to win. And just like that, all your friends and family are going to look at you like you're a complete genius when it comes to college football. So let's get into it. So our goal here is going to be pretty simple. It's going to be to find college football spreads. And we're going to find this in 3 steps. 3 simple steps that you just have to pay attention to. And I promise you, you are going to be able to win 80 or more % of the time. Now, one thing that everybody thinks when you first start sports betting, or you're betting on spreads, or you're betting on totals, or any of that a professional sports bettor needs to hit 53, 54% of the time to be profitable. Yes, you want to know where that comes from? That comes from people trying to chase minus 110 lines and beat that number consistently. This is new age sports betting, and you don't need to do that anymore. And I'm going to get into it a little bit later of exactly how that comes into play with this strategy that I'm teaching you right now. But I want you to do me a favor right off the bat. Forget about this number right here. Completely forget about that. That's an amateur number. That is not for professionals. Professionals don't need to worry about trying to chase 53, 54%. That's something that was drummed up by the sports books to get you to fall into a trap, or where you're just donating money and losing money slowly over the course of time. The strategy that I'm going to teach you in this video that correlates with college football is one that you'll gradually be making money over time rather than donating. So let's get to step 1. Step 1, what you're going to want to do is you want to find a top 25 team that is ranked going against a non-ranked team. So for example, let's say Ohio State versus Ball State. Once we find those type of matchups on any given slate, put a circle, big circle around them, okay? Because those are the ones that we're going to look at and we're going to identify more. After you do that, immediately go and look at the ranked team's defense. They need to be top 20 overall defense. So for example, here would be Ohio State needs to be at least a top 20 defense. Now, if you're looking at this early in the year when the season's first starting, use the prior season. Okay, use the prior season to see how their defense is. Their defense shouldn't have changed too drastically from the year prior. So take a look at that. If you're midway through the season, then you can use the current season data to see what that defense and where it ranks. Now, the easiest way to find the top 20 defense overall and see if that team ranks in there is you go to teamrankings.com. On team rankings, you go to college football, and then you'll go to defense, you'll go to scoring defense, and you'll see exactly how the scoring defense matches up here for overall defense. Now let's go ahead and jump into step 2 now. So you got your team circled, you got your matchup circled, you have all that down. You got the matchup going against a top 20 defense as well. The reason behind that is because a defense that is top 20 can hold a spread. That's what we need them to do. We need them to hold the spread while the offense takes care of business. And you need a top 20 defense to be able to do that, so you don't get no backdoor covers or where it doesn't even come close to where you can't cover the spread or whatnot. You need a defense for that. Now, step number 2 is going to be identifying the money and the bet percentage to be opposite. So what does that mean? Being opposite means you want more money on one side than what the bet percentage is, because the bet percentage is basically the public money. So I'm going to throw a screenshot up of exactly what that looks like for the money and the bet percentage and what you want it to look like. You want it to be completely opposite. So what I showed you in this screenshot right here means that the bet percentage is 97%, the example that I just showed you on Ball State, but the money percent is 55% on Ohio State. So what this means is that all the public money and small tickets are being put on the spread side for Ball State here. As in, where the big money is laying, people that are betting thousands and thousands of dollars, is on Ohio State, because the majority of the money is being put on this side, whereas all the public and small tickets are being put on that side. That's what drives the bet percentage up. So you want the complete opposite here. You want the bet percentage to be all over the side that we're not looking at, but the money percentage to be heavy on the side that we are looking at. Because what that entails is pretty simple. This right here is the square side, and this right here is the sharp side. It's really that simple to be able to identify that. Now, if you guys want to bypass all these strategies that I teach you and have to manually do them and instead just put these step by step into a AI that's going to spit out the answer within seconds, so that way you don't have to waste any time and it saves you hours among hours, click the link in the description to use the Linemaker AI chatbot, because you literally could just put these steps in there, just type them in, and within seconds you'll have a list of games that qualify for this strategy that I'm teaching you today. Now let's go ahead and dive into step 3. Once we got the first 2 qualifications down and we got our team that we're pretty much looking to bet, and this is the team that we're going to bet on, what we need to do now is we need to be able to move this number of what the spread is going to be. We have to look out for key numbers. So in this realm of what we're going to look at, you're not going to find games where it's going to be -3, -6, -7, -10. You're not. They're going to be higher numbers because the ranked team obviously is going to be the better team playing that non-ranked team. So you're going to see numbers like this: 17, 21, 24, 28, 35. You're going to see numbers like that. That's where you're going to see the spread for that matchup. Sometimes even more than that. But we have to manipulate this number, okay? Because these numbers right here are key numbers. So if what you're looking at and the spread that you're looking at falls on any one of these numbers, you have to buy off of that number. So for example, right here, you would have to buy this number down to 16.5. This number here, 20.5. This number, 23.5. This number, 27.5. This number, 34.5. You have to buy off of key numbers. Why? Because in football, when you buy off of a key number, you're literally giving yourself a whole extra possession that team doesn't need to score for you to be able to cover a spread, which is huge. It's huge to use that when it comes to football. So make sure you have this written down right here. This is key because these are the key numbers that you need to pay attention to. So make sure that you have that written down. Now, to correlate with the key numbers, what we need to do is we need to buy back on an alternate spread here. And we have to buy back to closest we can get to at least -300. You can go over a little bit if you need to, but to the average of that number. Now let me explain why we need to get to this number. Because an implied probability on this number is 75%. But if you go through the steps that I just taught you, those steps have been proven for the last 5 years to hit over 80% of the time. So 80% or more, that's your true probability of what I just taught you that goes through those qualifications. That's the true probability percentage of that. So what does that create? That creates a plus 5% or more of an edge long term. Now, why does this even matter? Most people are going to look at this and be like, well, what does that even mean? Okay? When you play blackjack, the house percentage on blackjack varies from 3% to 5%. So what that means is the longer you sit there and the longer you play, the more of a disadvantage you have because there's a negative edge against you. Same thing goes with sports betting. Most of the time and most of the plays that people are putting in have a negative edge, whether it be 5%, 10%, 3%, whatever it is. They have a negative edge. So they're long-term playing a negative edge, which drains your bankroll. So your bankroll starts up here and it just slowly starts to drain out and it goes down. That's what happens when you're playing a negative edge. Same thing at a blackjack table. That's why if anybody ever told you when you're sitting at a blackjack table, when you start to get a good momentum and shift and you go up and you're making money, then you leave the table. Because the longer you sit there, the longer the odds are against you, where the edge disintegrates in your favor, and then you start declining, and next thing you know, you end up having no money after you sat there for 2 or 3 hours. Same thing with sports betting. The longer you keep playing negative edge plays, your bankroll slowly diminishes until there's nothing left. How you switch that is playing plus edge plays. Plays that are going to give you an actual edge long term. Because let's say, for example, you sat down at a blackjack table, but you had a plus 5% edge. Now what happens when you sit there for 2 or 3 hours? Your bankroll slowly goes up and inclines over the long term because you have a plus edge, not a negative edge. Same thing with sports betting, as in when you sit there and you place your bets day after day with a plus edge, your bankroll now starts here And what happens? Starts to go up, and you slowly increase your bankroll over time instead of losing money over time. But they have to fall into that criteria to giving yourself a plus edge. And that's where most sports bettors lose a lot of money, because they have no idea what edge they're playing. And next thing you know, they're playing negative edge throughout their whole entire year, and they're wondering why they have no money left and all their money's gone. You have to be well educated to understand exactly which plays give you a plus edge or not. Same thing with blackjack. Most people sit down and play blackjack, have no clue what the edge is that they're playing, and know that it's a negative edge, and they'll sit there for hours among hours and just lose money. Because remember this, losers gamble, winners invest, because they know exactly what they're doing and they expect to win. We're expecting to win most of the time when we follow these steps and these strategies that I teach you. We're not just guessing and we're not hoping that we win. We expect to win. Whereas losers, they don't expect to win. They're hoping that they win. So now what I'm going to show you guys is exactly how to find this type of bet on kalshi, which is a prediction market. And the reason why we're going to use kalshi is very simple. We don't need the sports books anymore. The sports books are completely useless. We need to take the sports books and run them out of business because they are thieves. Once you start winning at a sports book, they revoke your access to being able to put down how much money you want. So we don't want to play with those type of people. Want to know why? Because we win. We win. Everybody that follows this channel, you guys win. So you guys don't want to be bothered with the sports books anymore because it's a losing game. In the end, they're getting more and more strict, and they're going to tighten up on you, and they're going to limit you, or they're going to ban you altogether. As in prediction markets, you're going peer-to-peer. And there's millions among millions of dollars being traded in volume throughout every single day on certain matchups. All we have to do is be able to exploit that, and we can put as much money as we want, and you can make an endless amount of money without anything being revoked or banned or limited. So let's jump into kalshi so I can show you exactly how you find these type of spreads on there and how you manipulate them. So for an example, when you log into kalshi, this is what it looks like. You're going to see a bunch of different things that you could look at here. Like, let's just go ahead and take a look at sports, for example, right now. And we're going to focus on football because that's what we're looking at. So if we go to college football here and we go through, let's see which one we could use as an example here. Because right now, let's say the volume, we want one with a decent amount of volume. Okay, so this matchup right here, we got USC going against San Jose State. The volume on this right now is at almost $500,000, and we're still 10 days out. So this is going to go into the millions easily. So what you can do here is you'll see your percentage, your percentages that translate into cents. What that means is that's your implied probability. So similar to like a -200, a -300 or whatnot, that's your implied probability. That's the percent that you're getting here. So it's actually way easier for you to read too. It's better than seeing numbers, minus numbers, because you can just see a percentage right away. So your implied probability, let's say for example right here, it says USC wins by over 38.5 points. 49% implied probability. So this is about a plus 105 if we were to convert that of what it looks like. Now you get a yes option and a no option. So what that means is obviously if you pick yes, you're thinking USC is going to win by over 38.5 points. Picking no, that means you're pretty much picking San Jose State to cover 38.5 points. That's pretty much what it is. It's the same exact concept as everything else that you've always been so used to. Now, let's manipulate this line because we can do that. That's what part of this strategy is, right? Our step 3 is we have to manipulate the line. Now, I'm not saying this example is following the criteria. I'm just using this game as an example, all right? Don't go over here putting a trade in on USC to cover 30 points or whatnot, because that's not what we're doing. We're just showing an example of how you can place a certain play on here. So let's go ahead and undercut a key number. So you guys seen 35 as a key number. Let's undercut the 35 and we go to 33 here. So 33.5 is where we're going to land on because the actual key number was 35. So we're undercutting that again, like I said, because it saves you a possession of what they need to be able to score. So what you would do is you'd see that we have a 65% implied probability. So your 65% implied probability, say for example, that this fit the total criteria that we were looking at. And we had an 80% chance of this being able to occur. If we just go and take a look at where we would be pushing that number, and if we pushed it to 33.5, which is 65%, that would give us a 15% edge at that number. So we would have a positive edge of 15% there. Now, most likely for this to fit the criteria that we were just talking about, we would push that number to 27.5. The reason why is because that would be probably your minus 300 number threshold of where it's going to fall. Probably going to fall around there. This 33.5 doesn't quite get there yet. This is around about minus 200. This is about minus 200. But again, just using an example of showing you guys how you could use this on kalshi. So that way you don't have to worry about getting limited. You don't have to worry about getting canceled from a sports book and you can't place anything down, and you don't have to worry about that no more. Every single person that's watching this video, every single person that is ever going to watch this video, you should be using prediction markets, because prediction markets are where we need to gravitate towards. We need to get away from the sports books. The sports books are evil. They just want your money. That's it. This isn't a sports book. You're not losing money to a sports book. When you lose on here, you're just paying somebody else that put in a certain trade. They put in another trade. So that's how that works. So again, let's take a look at here. If we went here and we put in yes, for example, we go up here and let's say we wanted to put 2,000. Like, you could put 2,000 in on that if you wanted to. If you want to put 20,000, you can put 20,000 in on that because the volume is there. Now, obviously, this is early on. Like we said, there's 10 days left in this. So volume needs to tick up some more for you to be able to not move this line, because now if you're putting a certain amount of money up there, you're going to move that line. So if you put 20,000 here, you moved it to 86%. That's because of the volume. That's why I said the volume is key. You got to make sure there's volume, which we're not going to run into a problem with that for football season. I can guarantee it. There's going to be probably $10 million in volume on just this game right here in about 10 days. I can literally guarantee that that's what's going to happen. But you can't do what I just showed you right here. You can't do at sportsbooks. You can't walk in there, go put 20,000 on there consistently. You can't do it. They will limit you as soon as you start winning, because that's what we do here. If you're following this channel, we win. And if you start winning, you're done. That's it. They will limit you. They will cut you off. You will not be able to do it. But guess what? You could do it on kalshi. You could bet as much money as you want as long as the volume is there. Now, if you guys want a free $20 on me to use on kalshi, make sure you guys click the link in the description and make your kalshi account. So that way you guys are set up for football season. You don't have to worry about getting limited. You don't have to worry about getting banned. None of that. You literally, it's very, very simple. I just showed you. You could literally print money using the strategies that I implement day in and day out for years on end, and not worry about getting limited. So click the link in the description if you want a free 20 bucks on me, so that way you guys can get your football season started, and that way you could actually become a winner and everybody looks at you like, what is he doing different? Well, you know what you tell them? Frank at Linemaker Sports got you right with the correct strategies. As always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then,